Your reaction?
Joe Montana ended his career, in Kansas City. He went there, played in the AFC Championship game. Michael Jordan ended his career in Washington, D.C. It is not shocking to me that Tom Brady won't end his career as a Patriot. The NFL is the most practical league. It's the least kind of dreamy-eyed league. You have to see things soberly and clearly because there's a hard cap and players' value shifts from year to year. And Belichick saw this coming, which is why he had a succession plan in place with Jimmy Garoppolo. And rather than seeing the end of a dynasty now, you would likely just be seeing the continuation of a dynasty. I'll remind you, Garoppolo just had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, riding a defense and a running game largely in San Francisco. And that's sort of what Belichick obviously had in mind, but it didn't happen. This is the way it went down. Peyton Manning threw 9 touchdowns against 17 interceptions, but ultimately got the job done in the Super Bowl. And the Cliff prediction was 1 year off. I told everyone what the drop-dead date was. He surpassed that by a year because he won the Super Bowl the following year. No, wrong. But you could just say that until you're blue in the face, but go back and look what was said. The point is, 2 years ago, he threw an interception to end the AFC Championship game. They called it back. He got the ball back against a bad defense and scored in overtime and then won the lowest scoring Super Bowl in history behind the defense that only gave up 3 points and the running game. That's what he was, a game manager. And last year, he was worse than that. So the reason no market really ever developed for Tom Brady, other than now the Chargers and the Bucs, is because other teams looked and said, Tannehill better, Garoppolo better. No, not in the long run, right now. Because if those teams are poised to win a Super Bowl, they would mortgage whatever they had to win right now. They don't see Brady giving them a premium over their own guys. He is the greatest of all time. Not the best ever, not in his peak is he better than anyone who ever lived, but his overall resume, his clutch ability, the fact that he rose to actually fulfill what was largely kind of not hype, but kind of overstated in the first half of his career, how clutch he was when he just had to get him in field goal range for Vinatieri to kick a field goal and win these close games. He actually became this amazing player in the second half of his career. He will find a home. I'm guessing it's going to be with the Chargers. We shall see.
I think the torturous part and the fact that, I'm earning my money today because I actually have to sit here for 2 hours and listen to your drivel. He's not the best ever, but he's the greatest ever. And I was a year off, not 2 years off. You're all over the damn place. And then you just finished saying in the same breath that everybody would mortgage their future in order to win a Super Bowl now, but you condemn the Patriots for sitting there and keeping Tom Brady instead of Jimmy Garoppolo when they won 2 Super Bowls and win the 3 straight Super Bowls from the time you said the cliff had arrived. It's unbelievable. It really, really is. But let me get back to the story because I got 2 hours to deal with you and your nonsensical, ridiculous stuff. And be careful about warning me to go back to the tape. You don't want me to go back to the tape with what you have said about Brady. I don't want to confuse our audience because you're all over the place. In the end, here's what it comes down to. When you're talking about Tom Brady, if the New England Patriots, specifically Bill Belichick, if I believe, this is my personal belief, nothing else, if he were treated better by Bill Belichick and not treated as just somebody that, you're just another player, as opposed to a 6-time champion, the quarterback who has led this franchise to 9 Super Bowl appearances over the last 19, 20 years. If he was treated as such and acknowledged in that fashion, I don't believe that Tom Brady would be departing from the New England Patriots for next season. I don't believe he would have said goodbye today. I think he said goodbye because as much as he loves Mr. Kraft, at the end of the day, you're dealing with somebody in Bill Belichick who, by all accounts, is a phenomenal coach. Nobody's questioning that. But his interpersonal skills, his unwillingness to sit up there and cultivate a relationship with somebody where you're elevating one above others. I think his inability to do that, to use the phraseology, kiss the ring per se, and obviously he doesn't have to because he's a coach and that guy was a quarterback, but his unwillingness to do that made it an untenable situation for Tom Brady. I think that's why he's leaving, and I think that Bill Belichick is going to feel some heat because where do you go from here, which is something we'll get into later. But people are going to ask that question. If Tom Brady just decided to retire, that would have been different. Tom Brady decided he wants to play, but moving on from the New England Patriots is a direct indictment against Bill Belichick, no matter what way you slice it. And I think that's the story that we'll be following for months to come.
Well, I think you have maybe indirectly identified what I think is the most interesting part of all of this, and we have somehow gone 7 minutes without getting to it, and that is this. Tom Brady's place in football history is secure. Regardless of what happens from this point forward, he is, as Max just correctly said, the greatest quarterback of all time. Belichick's place in all of this, I think, is a little more interesting. Stephen A., we both know that in basketball, the coach generally doesn't get a lot of credit when he has the superstar. Phil Jackson won 11 championships, but people will still look at it and say, well, he had Michael, he had Scotty, he had Shaq, he had Kobe. We don't usually say that about Bill Belichick, but Belichick has won 6 Super Bowls, all of them with the greatest quarterback of all time leading his team. So the question is, how much is at stake for Belichick going forward here? If indeed he wanted to get rid of Tom a few years ago and go to Garoppolo, which Max has said, and I agree, and was overruled by the owner. Now he has his shot. So if he is going to remake this roster, I will be fascinated to see what quarterback he wants to remake it around. Right now, Jarrett Stidham and Cody Kessler are the 2 quarterbacks on the Patriots roster. That's not a recipe for winning anything of consequence. So does he want Andy Dalton? Does he want Teddy Bridgewater? Does he want Jameis Winston? Is he willing to give away a season and try and find a way to get one of the great quarterbacks who might be coming out in the draft a year from now?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.